What does history look like? We know what historical things look like, but does history itself ever become visible? One of Constable's paintings enables us to think through this question. A shepherd and his dog walk toward a ruined castle on a hillside overlooking a wide estuary. This is Hadleigh Castle, painted in 1829, an unusual subject for Constable. It's not part of Constable country, but further south on the Thames estuary, and it's not a place he was attached to. He had visited it only once, back in 1814, and the painting is based on a very small sketch made at the time, just 11 centimetres long. It is the first major painting Constable completed after the death of his wife Maria. The bleakness of the landscape and the broken tower are often seen as expressions of his feelings at this time and understood as symbols of his loss. The land is characterless, at least by Constable's standards. It lacks paths, fields, farms. It doesn't seem to be good for much. It is lumpy, licked and flattened by the receding storm. But the sky is animated. A great cloud ship tacks across the windy marsh, and the distant sunbursts lever-like oars propelling it forwards. In other places, the darkness concentrates, rears and falls in streaks as rain. There are no sheep in the picture, but on the other side of the ruin is a herdsman and a few cows whose shadows stretch down the slope. And at the bottom of the hill, a solitary figure sits beside a fire. There's no sense of community here. The flockless shepherd walks beside some massive crumbling masonry in the foreground. Its shape and size are uncertain. If he turned his head to the right, would he be able to see over it? At one point, its top is almost continuous with the ground he walks upon, distinguished only by a few viscous cream highlights scraped and dragged across the surface. At another point, it looks as if it could be as tall as the man. Look at how his shadow is cut by the wall. Perhaps Constable blocks the shepherd's vision to alert the viewer to the difficulty of looking for sheep. Alternatively, maybe Constable wasn't interested in either shepherd or sheep, but merely needed a figure there, ideally with a bit of red on them, to be a point of focus and to lead the viewer into the landscape. It's certainly possible, but if so, it's unlike his earlier practice, where every detail is motivated and contributes something to the story of the landscape. The normal order for Constable's paintings does not function here. Things pull apart. Connectivity is lost. The wall is painted astonishingly roughly. In some places it has been smeared on so thinly with a palette knife that the brown priming layer shows through. In other places it is scratched and dabbed and stippled. It's difficult to find words to describe all the different way that Constable handles the paint here. His technique is so various and so unconventional. The lump of wall is attached to a larger section, a welter of irregular highlights over a troweled lower layer, with horns or spurs at either end that bend out ambiguously. The farther spur points directly at the stark rent in the tower that is the poignant focus of the painting. But the darkest darks are on this side of the crumbling wall. As you look, it becomes precipice and chasm, falling away into ever greater depths. In the darkness of the drop, the paint stops describing and simply acts. It is startlingly modern in its approach to materials. The trailing pale highlights pull away from the murky ground and hang suspended between here and there. The wall of the tower beyond is neatly vertical. It has definition, which the crumbling wall conspicuously lacks. The shepherd turns away from the wall as a thing of no interest, and yet it remains. It is a stumbling block for the viewer that will neither resolve into a coherent shape nor blend into the landscape. This softened sponge of wall in the foreground is the image of history with a capital H. It has outlived its time and lost its purpose without acquiring any other. It is the fact of history rather than its narrative or explanation. It is the history we bump into rather than the history we tell one another. It obtrudes shapelessly into the present. It has no sense, no use, but will not go away. History here is not a convenient tool for the understanding, but is an obstacle that has to be navigated. It is history for the bereaved. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and visit my channel Think of a Picture, where you'll find lots more short, thought-provoking videos. Thank you.